friends, and one of his closest is actress and model Pamela Anderson. She has called Assange a hero. She says she now fears for his safety as he has been increasingly cut off from the outside world. Pamela Anderson joins us tonight. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Hi, how are you?
Really well, thanks. The obvious question I can't resist asking, how do you know Julian Assange?
I know, it's kind of a funny pairing, but I met him through Vivienne Westwood. Vivienne Westwood is a dear friend of mine, and she's a great supporter of his, and she knew that I would love his cause, and she thought I'd be great to meet him, and just, and we get along great. I see him a lot. I've known him for many years now, and he's a great testament to the human spirit to be in a situation that he's in and to have the fight that he has in him and the sense of humor. I mean, he's really an incredible person.
So it raises an interesting question. Given what you just said, why has he received almost no support from the entertainment world in Hollywood, for example?
Well, I think those are big Clinton supporters, and people have misunderstood that his intention was not to get Trump elected. It was to give true information so people could make educated decisions about the person they wanted to vote for. So people want to blame somebody, and so they blame him. Yes, I get a lot of flack for it too when I'm in Hollywood.
So the idea is if you support Assange, you're somehow against Hillary Clinton?
In some cases.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now, you also know Vladimir Putin. Do you believe, remarkably, impressively, what do you make of the allegation that Assange and Putin were working together to expose Hillary's emails?
It's crazy. It's a crazy. Everyone likes to blame Russia when anything goes wrong in America. And I've spoken at the Kremlin many times, and the last time I was there was something happening, and the first thing they say to me, so what have we done wrong this time? It's kind of a common joke that America likes to blame them for everything. So, I was with Julian before the election, and he had no idea. He really did not think that Trump was going to win the election. But it turned out the way it did. Some people are happy.
So you're speaking at the Kremlin. You're hanging with Julian Assange, the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Did you ever ask yourself, how did I get here exactly? Is this the life path that you planned?
Well, I'm an animal activist. I've been an activist for animals since I was young, and then I spoke about the environment. I spoke about a green economy in Vladivostok. They invited me to the Kremlin. They loved the way I was speaking, and I touched a lot of people, and so they really wanted me to continue my work in Russia, and that was just a coincidence. I'm on the Russian Council of IFA, which is the International Federation of Animal Welfare, and pardon me. Oh, and so it just is a coincidence that I know all these kind of crazy, wild, intelligent, interesting people.
So I know that you live in France now.
Yes.
But when you go back, I think you have a home in L.A., Malibu. When you go back there and you say, I was just over at the Kremlin talking to Vladimir Putin, what kind of response do you get?
Well, a lot of people are really happy about it because he's made a lot of great improvements in my situation where I wanted him to stop importing seal products to Russia, and that pretty much stopped the seal hunt in Canada, and that was my goal initially. And then to talk about all sorts of environmental issues, animals in captivity, capturing dolphins and whales and not selling them to China, and endangered species we talk about. So I'm there speaking with the Minister of the Environment and people like that. And of course there's a lot of crossover because I have a lot of causes I believe in, and I believe in just justice for all. And Assange is just an incredible person. If you read anything his mother says about him, that's kind of an interesting source to go to. He's always been like this since a child. He's wanted to, he's been worried about doing the right thing. And I think he's very brave, and he's really in deep trouble, I think, for his health. And he's never been into sunlight. He's never been in the sunlight for 6 years. That's already harmful. And now he's been cut off. No internet, no phone calls, no visitors. And they're trying to squeeze him, I think, out of there. And one of his only choices pretty soon is probably to leave the embassy, and he'll be arrested, then deported to America, which I don't think is going to be favorable for him.
I don't even know what I think of any of this, but I think it's an amazing and fascinating story, and I'm grateful that you shared it on our show. No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
More with Pamela Anderson in just a minute. she is no fan of Uber, both of whom she knows, but you wouldn't have guessed that. But then the conversation turned to the taxi services Uber and Lyft. Both have proved popular with the public. Pamela Anderson is not a fan. She is campaigning against ride-sharing apps. She says they exploit their drivers and endanger passengers. Watch this. You almost never hear that complaint. They lure in drivers and exploit them. Tell us what you mean.
Well, I know everybody knows about the difficulties that they're experiencing. People are being sexually assaulted. That's common knowledge, and it's being exposed everywhere. But also, the drivers are being exploited. They are hired as kind of third-party providers, so the Uber's not taking responsibility for any of their wrongdoings. But also, they're not receiving health care or any of the things that they should be receiving as employees.
Wait, I'm confused, though, because the people who run Uber, for example, are very socially conscious. They're progressive. They're obviously very good people. They say they're very good people, and they're also incredibly rich. Why wouldn't they pay for their health care for the drivers? I don't understand that.
Exactly. That's what we're fighting for, is to have that for them, because that will also, you'll be able to get better quality drivers, more qualified drivers, and if people have real benefits and minimum wage even.
But I don't understand why nobody says anything about this. If a factory were paying people what Uber pays per hour and not paying for their health care, or when Walmart did it, people jumped up and down and said this is exploitation, but for some reason Uber gets a pass. Why? Well,
it's technology, it's evolution. We have to right the wrongs, and I say, if you're a sexual offender, you can probably get a job at Uber. You can probably be an Uber driver. They don't do the background checks. No, and I have two children. No. Well, I mean, I'm not for these ride-hail apps because it's a false sense of security. My father used to always, would pick me up at night, and we send these strangers to go pick up our children, and maybe a late night out or drinking too much, and instead of. It's just a false sense of security because it's an app that it's safe, and it's not safe. It still has bugs to be worked out, and it also needs to protect and supply proper payment to these drivers. Anybody can be an Uber driver, and they have to fine-tune that.
So are you saying that the billionaires who run Uber are so greedy that they won't take responsibility for their own employees, won't even admit they are employees?
Well, I think that people are finding all these loopholes. They have to tighten it up. It's new, so it's sad that a lot of people are being affected like this, the actual employees, the drivers, and the drivers are the core of the business, so they can't get around that.
It's the beauty of cable news. You never know what you're going